Hello everyone, my name is Hongyang Wang. I'm a PhD student from ETH Zurich. And today I present you a preliminary conceptual work that I just started recently called Blockchain for Regenerative Built Environment Governance. So I don't know if any one of you watched my presentation before. Actually, I started blockchain with a project called No One's One, a self-owning house on the blockchain. So I very much look into the future of autonomous self-ownership of housing built environment. So, and then we found out that after 2 years of research, we found out that regenerative shares similar vision as this self-ownership, because in regenerative future and the worldviews, they wish that humans have less ownership and we give more ownership to nature. So we start to, this is a beginning of the work investigation into how basically blockchain and regenerative system can overlap in the built environment. And I present you this very first work. So first question is that what is regenerative built environment, where I call it ReBE. So regenerative really started as a concept in agroforestation. I don't know if you know that it's actually really back in the days when there's a heavy industrialization of farms and agriculture, and we burned a lot of land in order to do agriculture. And a lot of engineers came out and want to stop this because this is a destroy of land and of nature, and how do we do it more sustainable? So the first, one of the first ideas is agroforest, which we don't destroy the forest and don't burn it. Instead, we use the forest as our food source. So this is called agroforestation. And this is the really beginning of regenerative idea and transferred into architecture and built environment first from the landscape architecture side. And in landscape architecture, obviously, you know that there's a lot of biophilic and a lot of city making with more nature. That's kind of the beginning of regenerative built environment. And then there's more theory about it. And one of the early theories about living system on the left side, as you can see, is a black and white, quite early graph, but really amazingly kind of early on conceptualized the view of regenerative built environment, which is not only nature, but human well-being and social well-being. So from the beginning on, social well-being and social equity is one important part of the whole living system and regenerative worldview. And on the right side, you can see that later, this is our newer works where scholars trying to differentiate regenerative with green, sustainable, and even restorative views. And these are, as you can see, that from the left is like conventional, which probably most likely the current industry. And then we're trying to move towards more green sustainable, but sustainable is barely sustaining the system and not making positive impact. And where you moving towards the right, towards regenerative, the narrative move from net zero to net positive, trying to say that humans are part of nature process and we should even be part of this process and even make net positive impacts. And so some of the basic consensus I found out in regenerative built environment are and different from the other concept. First is humans part of the nature process. Second, the focus on place, which means that not only that means we have a matrix of like the soil and the environment, but also the culture of the place. And third is that it rooted in a complex and living system, meaning that it's a co-evolving system. There is a dynamic interplay between the players in the system. And so based on these three fundamental worldview that regenerative built environments differentiate from the other sustainable concepts, there are three difficulties that surfaced from this research. First, is that the system is very complex and it's evolving and dynamic, so it's hard to measure. And second is that the regenerative built environment really emphasizes on soft criteria, which is culture, human well-being, words that's hard to define, basically. And third is that basically in a lot of articles in regenerative built environment, they're against reductionism, which is the fundamental tooling of engineering, where we try to all the metrics, we try to say that measure sustainability. We use reductionism measured to say that how the CO2 and what are all the gases that's inside, and how do we measure each criteria. But this basically is generally against the worldview of regenerative built environment, because they are emphasizing on interlinking of all the elements. So this results in a really hardship in quantification, standardization, and digitization of regenerative concepts. Maybe you have seen that regenerative as a word and topic in a lot of conferences, but it's very hard to categorize it. And most people in regenerative are still talking about sustainability, green, and mixing it with also circular. So this difficulty that I illustrated later as like one main difficulty, which is data information governance. And in more specifically, first is that it's hard to quantify, collect data, and measure the distribution of data, the maintenance of data, and evaluate the data quality, and there's also the oracle problems with the data. And second, the difficulty comes in that the stakeholders are really hard to manage, and there's almost no theory in the stakeholders in sustainability or circular theories. So the rules, responsibilities, and ramifications of stakeholder are unclear. And lastly is the ownership and value management is little talked about in sustainability and other measures. So we found out this difficulty, which is basically governance, information governance in regenerative built environments. And then we investigate how can blockchain help this matter. And as we know, here are all blockchain experts. So for data collection, distribution, and maintenance evaluation, blockchain as a transparent, decentralized ledger technology offers trusted and immutable data records, and possible have a shared common pool resource. And second, for stakeholders, we can do crowd and token-based decision-making mechanisms like decentralized autonomous organizations in blockchain crypto field. And then third, for ownership and value management, we can investigate into value-sensitive incentive and economical models. So these are the three strengths of blockchain that we see match that could fixing some of the challenges of regenerative built environment. And then this is because it's ongoing research, so I'm showing some of there's no real result yet. I'm showing some of the newly development and the future research directions. So currently we're working on an evaluation metrics for blockchain-based regenerative built environment projects. I don't know if you're familiar with some of this. This still remain quite a niche field, so probably these are not the most popular project that you've seen in the blockchain field. But we are developing this matrix to see the pros and cons of the current regenerative built environment projects in blockchain. And secondly, we come up with like 3 different directions, future directions, but more general, which we can do for blockchain-based regenerative built environment governance. First is value-sensitive data collection in smart infrastructure. Second, data management for regenerative built environment. And third, adaptive regenerative governance mechanisms. And as I mentioned in the beginning, my research direction is a self-owning house, which is no one's one. So for myself, the next step is to develop and investigate the possibility of self-ownership in housing and land for the future of regenerative built environment. And thank you.